Nerd morning, everyone. My name is Jeremy. This is Joseph,
Hey
and
guys.
this is the Nerd Morning Show, a place where we celebrate nerd culture by talking about books, comics, video games, and other nerdy things. And today we're diving in for another conversation about our read through of Wheel of Time and some of the thoughts and ideas that we've had in preparation for the upcoming show on Amazon Prime. I am so excited to talk today. We've done a ton of reading, and I'm just really vibing with this story so much. It's an amazing story, and this has been such a great experience.
Oh, definitely. Going through it this quickly in a condensed method. Normally, because it's so big in the past, I'd read a Wheel of Time, then I'd read something else, then I'd read another Wheel of Time, then something
Uh-huh.
else, right? Just to not get overwhelmed from it.
Yeah.
But buzzing through it this fast, it is a really good experience. I feel a little more connected to the characters than in past read throughs.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
This should be noted that this is like these are also big books, and
Yeah.
so when you're talking about, like, sometimes you jump on one and then they go to the next. Like New Spring, the prequel, is the smallest of these books. And I
uh,
actually was looking at some of these numbers, and I was just thinking that's interesting. It's 122,000 plus words.
it's a
Um,
regular novel size.
yeah. I mean, your
Uh,
your your small novel, like your first book novel, is like 80,000.
yeah.
That's what you get. And if you're
Uh-huh.
epic fantasy, you can maybe push that to like 120,000 words. That's what you get. Um, Eye of the World is 300,000 words. And um, like we get, some of these are 350,000 words plus. Like these are not
Yeah, easy.
these are not tiny books. And
No.
so when you total the whole series together, it's like over 1 million words. It's
Oh, easy. It's probably
Yeah,
pushing two.
yeah.
Uh,
This is definitely not a small story and experience. It's really expansive.
it's
And
dense. It is.
so yeah, going through this quickly like we have been, this really showcases the interconnectedness and some of the
Yeah.
brilliance that we get when, like, something like, or where I'm at right now in Winter's Heart. um,
Uh-huh.
they have the male IDOM, and we meet up with people who are talking about how that didn't get thrown into the ocean, right?
Right.
And when that happened, that was a couple of books earlier, the setup
Yeah.
for that scenario.
Uh-huh.
And so you have in this series, because it's so big, it's so rich, there's a couple thousand characters, really,
Yeah.
that have names. There's just, you set something up 4 books ago, and now it finally pays off. And getting
Right.
it all together is cool because it's like, oh, I remember when that was set up, instead of, oh, when was that set up?
Right.
It's, a different experience.
Yeah, this wasn't I wrote that first book and it did really well, so I'm going to write more of that book.
Yeah,
That's not how it was. It
yeah.
was thought through and intention. Even if he didn't know everything at the beginning,
Hmm.
he at least knew where he wanted to go with it all. And for me, that's the kind of reading experience I latch onto and just fall in love with.
Yeah.
Other authors who do really well, I'm not going to knock any of their stuff, and other people looking for different reading experiences
Hmm.
where I read the first book and, oh, that was pretty good. Read the second book. Yeah, that was still pretty good. Read the third book and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You just changed some names. It's the same book. That for
Yeah.
me, oh, I just don't go there. That frustrates me. It feels lazy to me.
Uh-huh.
Again, I'm not knocking authors who write in that style, or people who prefer that kind of reading experience,
They like the familiarity of it,
right?
like all that's totally fair.
It's totally valid.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Yeah.
So when I dig into Wheel of Time or the Cosmere, each time
Mhm.
I go through them, I'm just like, let's go. This is so good. And I want to find here's where it goes and here's
All
how
the
it
little
fits
pieces,
in. And
right?
I just love that.
Yeah. One of the things is we definitely know like there was plans from the very beginning for this to being a big experience,
Yeah.
probably just based off the fact that book one and book two were published in the exact same year. They were both
Yeah.
1990. One was in
He
January,
was
one was in
going.
November.
Uh-huh.
But yeah.
But yeah.
Um,
The,
anyways, this is like it's such a huge thing. Where have you been on your reading? Where'd you get to
I
with it?
am almost done with Crown of Swords. Uh,
Oh,
Rand is in the camp with the Kyrian rebels, having his duel with their leader. He's trying to use his Tavira nature to win over all the rebels and remove that
yes.
threat, because it worked with the Athalion Mier
Uh-huh.
earlier. Um, uh, we should always say at the beginning of these spoilers, we're
Yeah, you're
we're,
right.
we're not holding back here.
Yeah.
He just walks into the Athalion Mier and it's like, I'm your Coromor, you're gonna serve me, and this is how. And
Hmm.
they're like, we gave everything away. No, 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 no. But it's just that Tavira nature.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm gonna make it work. And Min's like, are you sure?
Right.
And I just like, oh, I just feel it, because the Rand where he's confident and positive,
Hmm.
that's the Rand we love.
Yes.
Really. He's
Yes.
getting really close to the jerk phase where
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be hard, I'm going to be iron, and no
Yes.
one's going to bend me for nothing.
Yes.
He's just like, Rand, shut up. Just, you know what you got to do, but you don't have to be a jerk about it, right?
Right.
We're
Eh,
getting close to that.
yeah.
And
And,
yeah,
and it's super understandable for him to go that path. Like it's something that's very
it makes sense for his
yeah,
character arc.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very understandable. It's I mean he sucks, but like he's supposed to, and that's
Uh-huh.
a big quest for him through the entire experience. This is his journey.
Yeah.
um and with Cat Swain,
Oh,
that's like her
yes.
mission is to
Right?
help that.
That Cat Swain just came into the picture not too long ago.
Yeah, I
And
thought she would be
yes.
introduced.
Uh-huh.
She still feels like a new character, really.
She doesn't have a
Even
lot of
in
airtime.
yeah,
Airtime,
uh,
page time,
page
whatever.
time, word count.
Word
I don't
count.
know. Yeah,
Yeah, even through the whole thing, she doesn't have a lot,
yeah.
but you fall in love with her so fast, you
She's
know?
very pervasive. Like
Yes.
she commands your attention, and you feel it through the pages, not just the people that
Yes.
she's interacting with.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think Cat
and
Swain's a
she's
total jerk. It's my
well,
humble opinion.
I was just gonna say she's not as much as a jerk as some of the other Aes Sedai. So,
um,
she's rigid.
yes,
She's and she knows what she wants. She's going to achieve it, but she's far less arrogant about it, I feel,
mhm.
than others. Uh, uh,
Ah,
Even Moraine at the very beginning, she's like, follow. And
yeah,
granted, that was a life or death. We're being chased by Trollocs. I don't want you eaten scenario. That's a little
right.
different. But, even Moraine takes some time to come around and realize I can lead more than I can drive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Cat Swain
So,
does start right off the bat, trying to be
right.
able to lead rather than drive, which is to her benefit. But also, she's like such a legend. She takes advantage of this. She's like,
Yes.
they're gonna. When I crook my finger, they're gonna come
Mhm.
because of who I am, not because of what I have to say or because of any merit. Like just because I'm a legend, they're gonna do what I want. Um,
I feel in part, yes, but also that she has the experience. She's like the matron, the grandmother. She
yeah,
just knows.
yeah,
And little children, if you just do it, you'll be fine, right?
Right?
So she's doing it because she cares about the outcome. Is the way I see Cat Swain.
Yeah.
So
She will get to her goal no matter what it is.
yes.
And this is the best way for it. Yeah. Um, so inside of Lord of Chaos, the beginning of Lord of Chaos, the end of Fires of Heaven, one of the most powerful moments. We touched on that just a moment before, but we didn't dive all the way in.
Do my as
Um,
wells.
but yes, but let's talk about Do
Uh,
My As Wells, because this to me is one of the biggest moments in the entire series.
it
I
really is.
it's a turning
Yeah.
point for Rand, but it's also just like, I don't know, it's for me the most visceral, powerful moments that I've gone through so far this read through. Halfway through book 9, like I'm still like, oh, Do My As Wells. That one
Uh,
just like hit me
yeah,
so hard.
that one just sticks with you. And even Rand, he can't I won't say he can't get over it,
Hmm.
but it's a constant reminder to him of what can happen not only if he lets oh, pardon me, if he lets his guard down or if he doesn't stick to what he knows to be true for himself,
Hmm.
but the abuse and the beatings and everything negative, loose there and Telamon uh, coming out more into his
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
all of those things really start to turn Rand, and that's where he starts thinking, I have to be hard.
Hmm.
So it sticks with him
Yes.
and it sticks through the books. Yeah.
Um, and I think also with that, where we have him being broken here, we also have something that I think is both really beautiful and really like damaging to him, with him remembering all of the women who were killed for his sake. You have that moment where he's like shaking in a corner, like,
Yeah,
like almost like a little
he's
child,
just
having this like
yeah,
mantra
uh-huh.
of all of the different people who has died for him. And
Yeah.
I think that also shows him as a really caring, good person deep down. And this is
Mhm.
something ultimately he has to let go of. He has to release. Um, but it also shows the goodness of him
Yeah,
in past the hardness that we are about to face through him. And I think this is
definitely.
like, so narratively, one of the things that we have to have in a character is a way to be empathetic to them, even if
Yes.
they're not going to be like a character we would normally empathize with.
Uh-huh.
And Rand is going to head into this journey through the rest of the story till like near the end, where he's harder and darker, and he has all of these things that he has to face. And I think the moment right there where we see him weak, not because of him being beaten,
Yeah.
but because of the care that he has for others
Yes.
and the self-torture that he gives because of the duty that he feels. Some of those types
Mhm.
of things that we get right there is what I would call is just there's a screenwriter book called Save the Cat, and they call this a save the cat moment, where you can
Uh-huh.
have the worst character ever, but if you at the beginning of the story have them go out of their way to save a cat, all of a sudden you're like, they may be a jerk, but at least they saved that cat, so I can sympathize with them, right?
Uh-huh.
And this
Right.
is very much a save the cat moment right at the beginning of his dark downward turn that I think
Yeah.
readers can pull to and go, oh, but there is that moment when he broke down, and he even added people who were abusing him on the name,
Right.
on the
They
list.
died because of him
Yeah.
still.
And
Yeah, he
like,
includes them. Yeah.
that to me was so powerful. I got choked up reading that. And um like it was a powerful moment for me. And I think it's one that's big for the significance of Rand as a character and his transformation before
Yes.
and after, like on this journey that he's facing.
Yep. That it keeps him human. It helps us see he's not not caring. He still cares. He even cares about the men who die, but
Yeah.
especially the women who die. And that's reaching back into some of our other conversations. That's his culture, what he grew up with.
Mhm,
To feel you should be caring and supportive and protective of
mhm,
women.
mhm.
That's the culture he comes from, and
Yeah.
he carries that through his hard and jerk phase,
Yeah.
right? So that helps us hold on to that thread of hope for him coming through in the end, right?
Mhm.
That and Min. I think Min also helps keep him grounded a little bit.
Oh goodness, yes. Totally. Without
Without
man.
Min, he would have gone all the way off.
Yeah.
So,
One of the things that we see kind of earlier on are alternate possible realities and things like that. We also have with Moraine when she was sacrificing herself to save Rand.
uh-huh,
Um, uh, she hints at the possibility, like of all these different times, of Rand being able to turn to the shadow and multiple
yeah,
opportunities for him to lose this internal struggle that he's facing.
uh-huh,
And
yeah,
I think without Min, he would have that would have been another moment where he would have fallen. Like
yes,
he just would have.
yep,
And I don't I think that's really significant again when we're talking about Rand and this whole quest and transformation experience that he has is that he's having this tremendous internal battle where he could become the most powerful evil this world would ever know, right? Um,
yeah,
and he's having to battle that where everyone else is battling all these physical confrontations. He is the one that would
mhm,
be the leader of the Forsaken. The Forsaken themselves are worried about this.
right, yeah,
And he has so many opportunities for that to happen. And we
yeah,
do see him go darker and have that quest and that the journey that he has to possibly have that type of transformation, and
yep,
that's a big part of his like actual experience is that all that internal stuff rather than all the wars and the cities and the countries that he's conquering and taking over, all of that are extra between
right,
the quest and the battle that he
yeah.
has inside of his heart.
And that's something that the other characters don't see so
Yes.
well. Possible exception is Min, just because of how close she is with him.
Hmm.
But like Egwene, especially once she's made Amerlin,
Hmm.
she hears these things about Rand, and she's like, Rand, that jerk. First I'm like, you need to have a little more confidence in the friend you grew up with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
you
right,
should. People change, but people don't change that much without intentionally doing so. And I'm just like, Gwen, you just first stop listening to rumor. Second,
right, which is
have
a
a
big
little
part of the
faith.
story.
It
Yeah.
is. It really is. But like you said, all of these other characters are having more external
Hmm.
things. They have their own internal struggles too, of course.
Yeah,
But
they wouldn't be interesting characters if they didn't, and they
right.
are all interesting characters.
But most of their struggles are external, and
Mhm.
true to life, external struggles, while they may be hard, are so much easier than the internal struggles we have with ourselves. And
Totally.
Robert Jordan paints this picture for Rand so well.
Yeah, I love it. You mentioned with Egwene becoming Amerlin and all of the Aes Sedai, like there are a lot of really interesting adventures that the women of the stories have had, in the books that you've been going through right now.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, they're a whole other adventure. What thoughts do you have kind of with that section of these stories right now?
Focusing on Nynaeve and Elaine at the moment, because
Hmm.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
They're searching for the Bowl of the Winds. Uh,
which
they're
is
kind
this
of getting
powerful
super powerful
uh
Terangrial. Yeah,
yeah,
Terangrial.
yeah,
Um, and they're going through all this stuff. They end up reconciling with Matt a little bit, which is really I don't get Nynaeve's problem with Matt.
yeah.
I He even when the last time they saw him in the Stone of Tyr, yes, he was gambling and drinking and stuff, but never to excess.
Mhm.
He was never staggering around drunk. He was never getting into trouble because of it.
Yeah, he he
Everyone
he
likes
was
him,
he
even when
was
he
not
wins.
he was not
So,
irresponsible.
right.
He
So
was
I just
yeah,
don't get what Nynaeve's problem is with Matt. She
yeah.
can't talk to him without feeling like she has to explode and beat him up or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't get that one, but eventually
I had
she kind of
similar
comes
thoughts
around,
while I was reading it as well. Is I'm like,
right?
Nynaeve, you're just the worst right now. What
Right?
is your deal?
What
Like
is
I
it?
get with
Uh-huh.
with Elaine, she's like, he's my subject, and he's a little bit of a rogue character, and she
Uh-huh.
recognizes that, and like, oh, he'll just get into trouble because of him being a rogue, and that's kind of shrugged off. But uh
But Nynaeve,
yeah,
prankster is not the same as drunk villain. And
yeah.
that's how she treats him. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't get it. Yeah.
Also, I think what's interesting is this is one of the boys that she set out to save, you know,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I think that's affecting her for good and for ill because she has an emotional tie for his well-being because of that, but
Mm-hmm.
also she has no power to control him anymore, and
Ooh.
also she is
Hmm.
someone who liked controlling people. That was part of her deal the whole time,
Yes,
and
yes.
we have that also. I think she is like recognized as this extremely powerful woman, right? This one of the most powerful wielders of the power, and so she's able to finally claim that strength that she somehow
I
needs.
just passed that where she broke through her block. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. um
Oh,
but with Matt, she can't control him. She
yeah.
has no
Hmm.
all of the power that she has doesn't, still doesn't do that, and he's someone who saved her despite all the power that she has, so he can be like a symbol of the inadequacy or
Her weakness
weaknesses,
and
and maybe
inadequacy.
that's all being
Interesting.
captured in with her emotions. We don't really get, I think, enough of the internal dialogue of Nynaeve to really explore that, and I think
But I think a psychiatrist could agree
yeah.
with you on that one. That's
Um,
uh-huh.
I think one of the weaknesses of the entire main grouping of cast members for me is Nynaeve, because she's angry, fiery, and I don't think we get a ton of transformation outwardly, because
True.
I don't get to be spend enough
Yeah.
time internal with her,
Yeah.
because we have so many other characters. I don't know if we get enough. At least we didn't get enough for me for of her internal journey and dialogue, because this could be something very simply explained with really a
Sure.
couple of paragraphs of her internal dialogue and her
Yeah.
relationship with that. But we just never get that.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I mean, Robert Jordan's covering so many characters. This is as faults go, like this is very, very minor.
Right.
But it
But
also gives us an opportunity to
it's
debate
yeah.
why Nynaeve? Why is she thinking this way?
Right, right. So Uh, but where they're just about to go find the Bowl of the Winds, Nynaeve, our Lan just rescued Nynaeve from the
It's,
riverboat.
it's so happy.
It's so happy. I know. She's like, "We're getting married today." You're like, "Oh, so sweet. What's up with you, woman?"
I know.
Yeah, but Lan, I think chills her out some,
Hmm.
really. Uh, so
Yes, definitely.
anyway,
Okay, so the very first time I read about Lan and Nynaeve, like all of that whole journey, like I didn't catch up with all the little hints.
oh
Like there's a
yeah,
lot of
from
hints about it, but I
yeah
just
in the
didn't quite
first
put them
book,
all
yeah,
together. And then as I'm going through, I'm like, wait a second, these two are into each other? Like I thought that was
uh huh,
just like a little conversation, like a flingish type of feeling. I didn't realize this was this significant.
Uh-huh.
Now then you go through it, a couple times later, and you're just like, oh my gosh, these people are they start head over heels for each other. And I don't know, like it's totally there. Like
Yeah.
it was just me as a bad reader, not Robert Jordan as a bad writer. No, he thread that in perfectly. But I was slow. I was slow for this one.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of the second book where
Mhm.
Lan gives her the ring and is like, he makes it sound like it's nothing,
Yeah,
but it no,
but it's a big deal.
it
Yeah,
means as much to her as it does to him.
yeah,
Uh, or flip that. Yeah.
yes.
Um, uh, be, because that's who he is.
Hmm.
He's always going on. I can't marry you and give you just a widow's dowry
Yeah.
and all this stuff because of who he is, and he gives her his father's signet ring.
Hmm.
Mm, yeah, that's not nothing, Lan. Sorry, not
Yeah.
fooling anybody. So yeah.
Right. Oh man. It's I don't know, it's an interesting relationship, and I think it's really, really beneficial for Nynaeve. Um,
It is. Well, it's beneficial for Lan too. At the end,
oh
she
yeah,
saves his bacon,
yeah,
starting him clear on one end of the blight. Now you got to go all the way there. Sorry, not sorry.
right.
Right.
Um,
So,
I will say this as well. Lan is one of the characters that we do not get enough of.
yes,
I
I
would
agree.
have a lot of joy getting this whole journey, this whole 15-book experience seen in his light.
Hmm.
I I can't get enough of him. He is the most interesting character. I think he's incredibly fascinating, and we don't really get much POV time with him.
No,
And
he's the most of it is in a new spring.
uh
The
yeah.
majority. Yeah.
And we do get him as he does venture through the blight to the last battle. We do finally
Hmm.
actually get point of views directly from him. But mostly he is an associated character through the
Yeah.
whole journey. And I don't know, maybe that's why he's so cool and interesting, is there's all
Maybe.
this air of mystery to him.
Maybe.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of
Right.
Alan Mandragora.
He's up there with Aragorn.
Yeah. Oh
Right.
yeah. Easy.
Right.
Easy,
He
easy.
he is. I heard this phrase not too long ago, and it fits so well. He is positive masculinity.
Uh-huh.
Lan and Aragorn. Right.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
totally masculine,
Hmm.
totally okay with it, but it's like in all of the good ways. Not that they don't have flaws as people,
Sure.
but
But they
there's
symbolize this goodness
right.
of those attributes.
Right.
Yeah.
He's strong, but he's not violent or overbearing,
Hmm.
but he'll protect and defend when he needs to.
Yeah.
He's skilled. You
And
could go
also
on and
like
on and on,
his
but
protection is like not necessarily misogynistic either. Like he went out of his way to protect a young shepherd boy and to teach him
uh-huh.
how to be strong.
Right.
And like things like that, like it's not just, oh, I'm strong and I'm protecting women. It's, which I mean, that's kind of his like job, like literally that is
Yeah,
his
it is his
occupation.
job, but
um but he's like taken liking to these boys and
uh-huh.
has gone out of his way for that, and he has this huge mission of duty and all those types of things, that he's there to protect his land and his kinsmen and all those types of
Yep.
things. Like when he goes out to the blight, like he's wanting to go there by himself
Right.
so he doesn't get anyone else hurt. And
Uh-huh.
which again, I mean, maybe there's some negative attributes tied in
You
with
know,
some of the positive ones right there.
but that only makes him more real,
Yeah,
right? So, yeah.
it's I
Love
don't know,
Land. Love
fascinating
Land.
character.
Yes.
I totally adore him. Um, he honestly, he might be my favorite character in the entire series.
Whoa, big moment.
I might say that. Shoot, yeah, I might say that.
That's fair. That's fair. You can say that, and I won't fault you. Not one bit.
Oh.
Oh, so exciting what's coming up. I'm about to dive into uh, the return journey in the next book.
Hmm.
Um, the all of the uh, power wielders that they're finding down in Abu Dar, and
Yes.
bringing them all to the little tower and behind Egwene, and
Uh-huh. Yeah,
that return journey itself is massive.
it's a couple of books
So,
worth, you know.
yeah, right. This
Yeah.
is some of the time uh, differences that I mentioned earlier. The first 2-3 books is 1 year,
Hmm.
and then there's like 2 years over the next 10 books. So
Yeah.
it's not evenly dispersed time through here. So, and then
Yes.
that gives a little bit of interest too. There's a lot that goes on and a lot of points of view that are coming into it to cover that same amount of time.
Yeah.
So,
I think also with that is in a book series, you kind of need to be able to stick with a point of view character for an extended amount of time, in order to keep the momentum
yeah,
for that. And so in some of these later books, we get some of these things that are a little bit out of sync in time.
a little bit. Uh-huh.
And that's something that really threw me off initially. I'm like, wait a second, this just happened, but now
Right. It's
this happened a while ago, and
uh-huh.
vice versa. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how they set that up in the show if we get all the way to these later ends of the story,
Right.
because in a show, you can jump between points of view characters far more comfortably
Yeah.
than you can in a book where you have to spend several chapters with a character in order to be able to feel like you got that. And then you jump, generally speaking, in a climactic moment. So you're like, no,
Uh,
I don't want to
I need
read
to
about
keep.
this character. I need to go back to the first one. And then you go in and you're like, no, I
Uh,
can't leave. I don't want to go back to that story. I need this one still.
right. Right.
Um, and it just helps propel you forward. But it's a different setup in the live action setup of a narrative story. And
Right. Right.
I don't know,
And
like we could see things from book 7 and book 9, linked together or things like that in
right.
the show, where we don't have them that way in the books.
Oh yeah. I think some of that. You said it was going to be an 8 episode season, right?
Yes. So my
Yeah.
understanding from what I have read is 8 episodes that are going to be for season 1, mostly just covering book 1, but maybe with elements that are being pulled from book 2 and 3 even.
Yep.
And also things from the prequels being pulled in with that. So there's a lot of stuff being covered
Uh huh.
really in those
Yeah.
8 episodes.
That that's kind of a lot to do. That's a tall order. I expect some of that grabbing and pulling might be some of the uh
The
chosen. Sorry,
uh-huh. The
some of the
Forsaken.
chosen, the
Yeah.
Forsaken. There we go.
Yeah.
Um, kind of implanting themselves in the local governments, right?
That would be
I
cool.
can I can see that being a thing where they start putting themselves into place where they're going to want to be establishing themselves, and we get
Yeah.
that later. That they're over there doing these terrible things,
Yeah.
but they've been there for a while when we learn of it in the book. So to see some of that setup would make
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
So
I think also something that may happen in this series is like with a lot of the Eye of the World, we have our traveling adventure.
right,
Um,
yeah,
and this is your like Lord of the Rings is a traveling adventure in a lot of ways.
it
Sort of
is.
Shannara traveling
Hmm.
adventure, and with those, like some of the like little farms that they stop by and hang out for a little while, like those could be condensed pretty heavily.
Oh yeah.
And
You can give that idea of lots of travel with one or two little snippets. Yeah,
yes,
totally.
and you can do those snippets relatively pretty short, where we
Hmm.
had some good time with it in the book and it was
Right.
fantastic. Like
Yeah.
I was not sad about the time spent there, but I can see those things being shrunk and
Hmm.
then other things being pulled in or being even expanded on from what we had there,
Definitely.
to
Yeah.
balance out some of those types of things in a visual medium.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be fun to see how they work all that out and the story that they tell from it. And I hope it's a little bit better than just another turning of the wheel version.
Hmm.
There aren't a ton of moments, but there are some moments that I just really want them to do well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
The-
looking forward
I
to it.
know, I know.
I want to see it.
It's gonna be really, really interesting. I am like incredibly excited. I'm less nervous about it than I might need to be. I don't know. But I'm just super, super excited for that experience as someone who's, studied film, dove into that medium, and is a big lover of cinema, as well as a heavy, heavy reader. Like these are
Mhm.
always really fascinating
Yeah.
experiences. With my academic experience in university, one of the primary things that I studied was adaptation. And
Mhm.
I love how stories get adapted to different forms or retold in different ways. And so for me, this is just like the most fun. It's a story I absolutely love and I'm passionate about being adapted into a live action experience and getting to see how
Yeah.
that all comes out.
It'll be fun. It really will.
Very good. Well, Joseph, thank you so much for today. Do you have any last minute additions before we
Oh,
wrap up?
there's so much. We couldn't
We're-
do it without spending another 2 hours.
I
So
know. Oh my gosh.
uh,
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to cover like a couple of books every
every
time,
week,
and there's
it's a lot.
so many things that you just haven't even like brought up or mentioned because
Oh,
they're
right.
just so expansive. And yeah, like it's huge. Well, thank you again. I've been having so much fun with these. Hopefully, you all listening and watching have enjoying this as well. If you guys have questions or thoughts and ideas to share, definitely put those in the comments. We love hearing your thoughts. And you can also find more Nerd Morning content at nerdmorning.com/links. Also, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. We are on another channel
Podcast.
here on
Oh.
YouTube. We're on the podcast. You can find on all major places where podcasts can be found. And we'd love to have you check out more content if you're enjoying this. Thank you again, all, for watching and listening. And we'll catch you all next time for another conversation on Wheel of Time.
See you then.